Well, thank you very much. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to be here today interviewing for the presidency at the University of Wyoming. There's a little piece of me that still can't quite believe that I'm actually doing this, so I kind of pinch myself every now and then. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll talk a little bit about what attracted me to apply for this position, and maybe just a few very broad, way up here kinds of observations that I have about the University of Wyoming. And then mostly I'd like to open it up and try to address your questions that you have. I would just like to start out by saying that I really too am a product of living in this part of the country. I am a native of South Dakota. I was born there, raised there. I grew up on a farm. My dad's a farmer, my brother's a farmer, my grandparents were farmers. I have agriculture through and through in my blood. Even today, I go home and sit across the table and we talk about corn yields, how the fat cattle market looks, and that there's never enough rain. That tends to be the theme at home. But at any rate, it is part of who I am, and I love agriculture, and I'm very comfortable in that kind of an environment. I am a first-generation college student. My parents never had the opportunity to go to school. I attended the school just up the road, South Dakota State University, which is the land-grant university for South Dakota, and I received my bachelor's degree from there. I just want to say that that was such an incredible opportunity in my life, and talk about growing and changing and expanding my horizon, having grown up on a farm and living in a very small community in South Dakota my whole life. It was really, I think, the door of opportunity, and sometimes today we hear that higher education is the door of opportunity, and I can say in my life that was absolutely true, that I felt like so many doors opened. As I went to school, I met people from all kinds of backgrounds, from different parts of the country. I received my education and my career took off. And so I just really want to say that I really experienced what I think higher education is all about, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about continuing that message of higher education and the opportunity it does present today. I went on and left South Dakota, actually. I should back up and say my education was in teacher education. I wanted to be a high school teacher, and I did that. I taught, first of all, for a couple of years in the Black Hills area of South Dakota, in a little community called Hill City, which is right at the base of Mount Rushmore. So if you've been there, you've probably been through Hill City. And loved that experience, but after a few years I really wanted to experience something bigger than what South Dakota had to offer. And so I went to Denver and I taught in the Denver public school system for a couple of years as well. And then I had the opportunity to do my master's degree up the road, and so I completed a master's at Colorado State University, so I'm a Ram through and through, and I know there's some Rams here. And eventually, after another little stint of working for a while, I knew that I wanted to be in higher ed. I had the opportunity to do some teaching at Colorado State. I went to Wayne State College in Nebraska for a few years on an interim basis and taught, and I loved it. As much as I loved high school teaching, and I really did, I loved college teaching more. And so, but I also knew I needed to do my PhD, so I went on to my third land-grant university, so South Dakota State, Colorado State, and then I did my PhD at the Ohio State University. And I've told people today, and I want to repeat it for you too, that I think, and this wasn't so planned, but I think I really had the best of all worlds in my education, because I am a product of land-grant universities. I have degrees from 3 of them. But on the other hand, I experienced 3 very different land-grant universities. So I had the opportunity to go to a small land-grant, that being South Dakota State University, and see how a small land-grant, very grounded in the state, fulfills its mission. And then I went to Colorado State, which I consider to be sort of a mid-sized land-grant university, and then Ohio State, which is one of the largest land-grants in the country. And while they all really have kind of the same mission, the scale was so different. And watching on how they fulfilled their mission at different scales was really absolutely fascinating for me, and quite an education in and of itself. So that tells you a little bit about my educational background and the fact that I really have enjoyed my education at land-grant universities. I took my first faculty role at the University of Idaho, so I moved from Columbus, Ohio, all the way across the country to Moscow, Idaho. And I did exactly what faculty do. I started a tenure track faculty position there. I taught a lot of classes, interacted with many students. I was advisor to at least 4 student organizations, including Farmhouse, which was quite an experience. And I just did what faculty do. I established a research program, and of course, University of Idaho is also a land grant, so I had yet another experience at a land grant. And their statewide mission in my field was really working with K-12 education. And so I had an opportunity to go out and do quite a bit in Idaho with curriculum development and with teacher, professional, in-service education and things of that nature. So it was really, I traveled Idaho a lot because of that, and I really enjoyed it, loved that state. But eventually, after quite a few years there, my alma mater, South Dakota State, called and asked if I would consider coming back to take a dean's position that was open at the time. I didn't think I was ready for it. In many ways, I probably wasn't ready for it, quite honestly. And I said no 3 times. But the 4th time I broke down and said, okay, I'll come look at it. And I shouldn't have done it because I took it. So I ended up going back from Idaho to South Dakota to my alma mater, South Dakota State. That was in '94. I thought I'd stay a few years and then do something else, and I'm still there today. So almost 22 years now at South Dakota State. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience for me. It's given me so many opportunities to grow in my career, which I will be eternally grateful to that institution for it. So it has just been a really wonderful experience. I was a dean of a college of what's now called Education and Human Sciences for 13 years. And that's a long time to be a dean, but I stayed with it because I absolutely loved being a dean. I love the impact that deans can have. You're not at the university level, so you don't have to worry about the whole university. You're at a college level, and you can have huge impact in growing programs, really attending to students, helping faculty be successful. And I really enjoyed that. That was, for me, just a wonderful experience, and I stayed with it a long time because I felt like it was working well and I was being effective in that role. But eventually, after 13 years, I had 2 things came up. First of all, my president nominated me to be an ACE Fellow, as American Council on Education. It's a year-long leadership development program, and they make you go to another university. So I went to Fresno State, and I learned under the then President John Welty, and had just a wonderful experience, really learning about what it takes to be a provost and a president. And when I came back to South Dakota State, the Board of Regents approached me and asked, since I had just completed that leadership program, if I had considered going to Northern State University, a small regional school in South Dakota in Aberdeen of about 4,000 students, and be the interim president for a year while they search for a president. With the understanding I wouldn't apply, because I really wasn't ready to do that. And so I did that as well. So my hiatus away from South Dakota State was 2 years, actually, while I did the leadership program and then while I did an interim presidency. And as I was completing that, the provost job at SDSU came open, and I thought, what the heck, I'll try for it, and I applied and I got it. And I'm now in my 7th year of being provost at SDSU. And I have to tell you, I love that job too. So the thing you need to know about Laurie is she loves every job she's in. So it's just been a wonderful experience, and I love now being at the university level and being able to really impact all programs, all students, all faculty, and really drive excellence at the university level, which has been a focus and something we've been working hard on at SDSU this last decade. So I think that's a bit about me. Let me tell you a little bit about why I'm here today. I know for the last year at least, maybe a little bit more, I've really been doing a lot of reflection about what's next for me. You know, you all know, because you've probably done this too, you reach those points in your life where you do a little bit of that self-analysis and think about that. Do I want to just keep doing what I'm doing, or is there something else out there that I need to be thinking about and perhaps looking at? And I have to say, this last year, that's been pretty heavy on my mind, and I've been thinking about it a lot. I also have probably one of the best mentors in the world in my president, David Shequin. He's wonderful, and I have learned so much from that man. I can never thank him enough for what he has given me. And he has been very encouraging of me to get out there and start applying for presidencies. He's told me, Laurie, you're ready, go. So he's been a big push that's been really trying to help me. I think I have more doubts in myself at times, and he's really been helping me think about it as well. So he's been a great mentor. So I've been thinking about it for a year. You know, I feel like I kind of have moved up the ladder. I've sort of done the traditional academic faculty. I did a little stint as a department head, dean, provost. You just sort of work your way up and you gain experience in every step and hopefully become better and more knowledgeable about what you're doing. And I felt like I had done that. And so I just really felt like I probably was ready. I'm ready to do this. I need to seriously take a look at it. But the other thing you need to know about me is I'm really picky. And so I am just not willing to throw my name into any search. There's been a lot of presidencies that have come open in the last year or two that I could have applied for, but I just didn't want to do that. I know me, and I know in my heart of heart that I am a land-grant girl through and through. I love the mission of a land-grant university. I love the look and feel of a land-grant. And by the way, you have it here. And so does South Dakota State. I mean, they just look a certain way and they feel a certain way. And I really love that. I love the fact that land-grant universities were created over 150 years ago to provide access to higher education for the citizens of the state. And I love the fact that most land-grants, including Wyoming, have stayed true to that mission. And I'm all about access, and I really, really like that. And I want to work at a university where that's what drives the university every day, is to really provide access to higher education for this state and to really help Wyoming be a better state overall. So that, I knew that about me, and I knew if I went to a private school or even a regional public school, I wouldn't have that. And so I've been sitting tight and looking at positions. There's been a few land grants that have opened that I've looked at. But I can tell you when Wyoming opened, I knew I wanted to apply. There was just no hesitancy whatsoever. In fact, I got the announcement that came through the search firm, and I forwarded it to the president, and I just said to him, my message to him was, this is the one. And it really was. I just knew that this was a good fit in so many ways for me. And one of the fits is that I think the University of Wyoming is a lot like South Dakota State University. There's differences, obviously, but there's a lot of similarities. And so I felt for me to make the move from SDSU to Wyoming, I could do it. It was doable because of so many similarities, including a lot of similarities on size and scope of the institution. So I felt like that was really good. I also felt like Wyoming as a state is a lot like South Dakota as a state because we live in kind of the same geographic region of the country. And we're both really rural states, and we don't have big urban centers, and we're sparsely populated. And I don't know about Wyoming, but in South Dakota, everybody knows everybody. And if you don't know that person, you surely know their cousin. So, it's just the way our state operates. It's not hard at all to call up the governor and have a conversation in South Dakota, and I don't think it is here either. So, there's so many similarities about just sort of that culture of the state and how the state operates. And it's a culture I feel really comfortable with because I've grown up in it, and I've been certainly working in it the last 20 years. So there was just a lot of things that it just felt like it clicked. It felt right for me. And it felt like this would be something, A, I could do, I could be successful at, and second, I'd be really excited about. And so that was my decision, to put my application in and to see where it might go. And as I said, as I started, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today and to be seeing if this might be a fit. And I think that's now your decision to be made, if this is a fit for you. So that is why I'm here today. Let me make a couple of observations about Wyoming. You need to know I come as an outsider. I've never worked at the University of Wyoming, nor have I lived in Wyoming. So I really, truly do come with you as outside perspective. I've been asked this at a couple of sessions before, as why, what are your observations? And the first thing I just want to tell you is University of Wyoming is a really good school. And sometimes it takes people from the outside to tell you that, but you've got a really strong reputation. And that was another reason I wanted to apply, is because I thought it's a great school. Why would you not want to work there? So you've got a great reputation. People really, really think highly of this institution outside the state, as well as inside the state. In fact, I just want to share this with you. When I was flying here yesterday, I was receiving a lot of emails from people, some I haven't talked to for a long time, congratulating me and wishing me well. And one happened to be from somebody that worked in ROTC at SDSU, that's now down at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. And I haven't talked to this guy for a couple of years, and he sent me an email out of the blue. And here's what he said in the email. Laurie, I just found out you're a finalist at Wyoming. I'm so thrilled. Congratulations, I wish you the best. You'd be great. He goes, I want you to know, I think that's a heck of a good school. He said, I brought my daughter up here a couple of years ago to look at it when they were looking for colleges, and he said, there's no question but what it was the best campus we visited, and we visited quite a few. So that was completely unsolicited from somebody outside the state as well. So I think you need to know that you're a really good school and you have a strong reputation, and it goes far beyond Wyoming. So know that and hold that close and be proud of that, because I think that's really important for you to know. You have so many strengths at this campus that you might, again, not realize working here every day, but my goodness, your campus is just absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. You know, I can't believe how much money has been put in and is continuing to be put into your infrastructure. And, you know, how wonderful that your state is investing in you that way. There's a lot, we would die for this in South Dakota. So I just want you to know, and you've done it well. Not only is it the money's going in, but the planning and just how it's coming together is really done very nicely. So again, as an outside perspective, you've just had a beautiful campus and you've done a nice job with it. It's just really, really a showplace. So I hope you're very proud of that as well. You do have, and I know this might not be the most popular thing for me to say, but just having analyzed kind of the data as I have and the budget and so forth, you do have a lot of resources at this institution. And I know you may be going through a little bit of a downtime right now economically, and I know that it may be a time to kind of cinch up the belt a little bit, so to speak, but on the other hand, you have a base by which to do that. So there'd be some institutions where cutting their budget would be detrimental to them because they don't have much of a cushion. I think you'd have more of that cushion. And so it makes doing things like downsizing your budget much more doable. And I say that because I've looked at numbers such as, and I just talked about this at the last session, but your faculty to student ratio, at least in what I saw reported, is 1:14. That's unheard of. There's no other land-grant university in the country that even comes close to a 1:14 faculty-student ratio. So, I mean, I die to have that. At South Dakota State, we're 1:18, and we're trying hard to hold on to it, but it's gonna slip to 1:19 pretty quick. And down the road at Colorado State, I think I just saw they're 1:22 or 23. So you are, what an asset to sit on a faculty-to-student ratio like that. That's incredible. What that means is you are providing high quality education to students, and you're getting lots of interaction with those students. And that's just absolutely wonderful. But it also means there's room. I mean, it means that you can work with that and that you can probably make some budget changes and not impact quality deeply. So I think there's things, I say that I think there's things that can be done that aren't detrimental to this university. You're gonna be fine, and you're gonna keep on going, and you're gonna keep being the great university you are.